Did you know first cousin marriages are legal in the UK? 2. What are the genetic risks of cousin marriages? 3. How much DNA do first cousins share? 4. Do cousin marriages always cause birth defects? 5. Should cousin couples get genetic testing? 6. Why are cousin marriages common in some cultures? 7. Should first cousin marriages be banned in the UK? 8. Can modern medicine reduce the risks? 9. What are the most common genetic disorders in cousin marriages? 10. Are the risks overstated or real? But they come with genetic risks that many people don't know about. Let's break it down. Cousin marriages and genetic risks. What science says in 2025 cousin marriages, or consanguineous marriages, involve unions between individuals who are closely related, such as first or second cousins. These marriages are common in many parts of the world, including the Middle East, South Asia, North Africa, and some immigrant communities in Western countries. While cousin marriages can have social, economic, and cultural benefits, they also come with genetic risks due to the increased likelihood of inheriting recessive genetic disorders. Let's explore the facts based on scientific research and updated medical data. Genetic risks of cousin marriages. 1. Increased risk of autosomal recessive disorders. Humans have 2 copies of each gene, one from each parent. If both parents carry a mutated recessive gene, their child has a 25% chance of inheriting both copies and developing the disorder. Cousins share more DNA than unrelated individuals, increasing the chances of both carrying the same harmful mutation. Examples of autosomal recessive disorders include cystic fibrosis, sickle cell anemia, thalassemia, Tay-Sachs disease, spinal muscular atrophy. 2. Higher prevalence of rare genetic conditions. In families where cousin marriages have been common for generations, certain rare recessive disorders may appear more frequently. These genetic conditions may not be well known and can vary between populations. 3. Increased risk of congenital abnormalities. Congenital abnormalities refer to birth defects that affect development. Studies show that the risk of congenital abnormalities in children of first cousin couples is about 4 to 6%, compared to the 2 to 3% baseline risk in the general population. Common congenital conditions include heart defects, neural tube defects, and hearing impairments. 4. Slightly higher risk of infant mortality. Some studies suggest that cousin marriages can lead to slightly increased rates of infant mortality, though this risk varies by population and healthcare access. Genetic risks depend on population and family history. The actual risk of genetic disorders depends on how common certain recessive mutations are in a given population. In genetically diverse populations, the risks are lower because the chance of both parents carrying the same harmful mutation is reduced. However, in communities where cousin marriages have been practiced for generations, the risk may be higher due to genetic bottleneck effects. Misconceptions versus reality. Myth: cousin marriages always lead to severe genetic disorders. Reality: the majority of children born to cousin couples are healthy, but there is an increased risk of genetic conditions compared to unrelated couples. Myth: all cousin marriages have the same risk level. Reality: the risk depends on the family's genetic history and the presence of specific mutations in their population. Myth: genetic risks in cousin marriages are extremely high. Reality: the risk of birth defects is modestly higher, but with genetic counseling and testing, many risks can be managed. How to reduce genetic risks. 1. Genetic counseling. Couples considering cousin marriage should seek genetic counseling to understand their risks. A genetic counselor can evaluate family history and discuss potential genetic disorders. 2. Carrier screening. Genetic testing before marriage. A simple genetic test can check if both partners carry the same recessive mutation. If both are carriers, they can explore options such as alternative reproductive methods, IVF with pre-implantation, genetic diagnosis, prenatal testing during pregnancy, adoption, or using donor gametes. 3. Prenatal testing during pregnancy. If a couple is already expecting, prenatal tests like amniocentesis or chorionic villus sampling (CVS) can detect genetic conditions in the fetus. 4. Pre-implantation genetic diagnosis, PGD, and IVF. If a couple undergoes IVF, PGD can screen embryos for genetic disorders before implantation, ensuring a healthy pregnancy. Global perspective on cousin marriages. Middle East and South Asia. Cousin marriages are culturally common, sometimes exceeding 50% of marriages in certain regions. Europe and North America, less common, but still practiced among immigrant communities. United Kingdom. In January 2025, UK MP Richard Holden proposed a ban on cousin marriages due to health risks, but experts argue that genetic testing and education are more effective than a ban. Conclusion: should cousins marry? Cousin marriages increase the risk of genetic disorders, but the actual risk varies based on family history and genetic background. With modern genetic screening and counseling, couples can make informed decisions about their future children's health. For anyone considering a cousin's marriage, education, awareness, and medical guidance are key to ensuring a healthy family. First cousin marriages in the UK. What are the genetic risks? How common are they? First cousin marriages are rare in the UK, but they are common in some communities, especially among Pakistani, Bangladeshi, Middle Eastern, and North African families. In the British Pakistani community, around 55% of marriages are between first cousins. What are the genetic risks? 1. Increased risk of genetic disorders. Cousins share about 12 to 13% of their DNA, increasing the risk of passing on recessive genetic disorders like cystic fibrosis, sickle cell anemia, beta thalassemia, spinal muscular atrophy. To higher risk of birth defects. The general risk of birth defects is 2 to 3%, but for first cousin couples, it doubles to 4 to 6%. Risks include heart defects, hearing and vision impairments, neural tube defects. 3. Higher infant mortality rates. Some studies suggest a slightly higher risk of infant mortality in first cousin marriages, though this varies by community and healthcare access. How to reduce genetic risks. Genetic counseling. A doctor can assess family history and provide advice. Carrier screening. A simple genetic test can check if both partners carry the same genetic mutation. Prenatal testing. Tests like amniocentesis can check for genetic disorders in pregnancy. Pre-implantation genetic diagnosis. PGD. Couples using IVF can select healthy embryos before pregnancy. Should first cousin marriages be banned? In January 2025, UK MP Richard Holden proposed a ban on first cousin marriages due to health risks. However, experts say banning isn't the solution. Instead, education, genetic testing, and awareness are key. Final thoughts. Most children born to first cousin couples are healthy, but the risk of genetic disorders is higher. Genetic testing and counseling can help couples make informed decisions. What do you think? Should cousin marriages be restricted in the UK? Comment below.